everybody, it's Janet and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here to Sugarshine Designs, this is where we craft, create, and learn. Get your journey started by clicking on the subscribe button. So I'm here today to show you a brand new tool that just came out from We Are Memory Keepers. It's called the Works All-in-One tool. And the reason it's called that is because there are 10 tools in this one unit. Now I was intrigued by this because for one thing I am a tools person. I love tools. And the idea of having 10 tools in one compact unit is very attractive, especially for me. You see this area? This is my craft area. I don't have a lot of room, so if I can have everything in one unit like this, what a benefit that would be to me. What's included in this is a lot of things, and if you bought each individual tool, you would be well over $150 to $200. So let's go through what is in here. First of all, there's a trimmer, and then there is a scoreboard, and then a precision stamp press. All right, let's stop there. 3 tools that individually cost on average about $25 to $35 each from We Are Memory Keepers. Now this tool is pretty inexpensive. It's about $55, so it's a great deal if you're comparing that to buying all the tools, and that's just part of it. There's more. Also included is a guide and some punches so that you can make tabs, tags, banners, and envelopes. So again, 4 different tools included in this, which again, pretty good bargain for the size it's going to take in your craft room and the cost. But that's not all. There's also a peg system down here which will allow you to make bows, pom-poms, and tassels. So there you have it, the 10 things that it can supposedly make. What I'll do in this video is open this up and show you all the parts and pieces, and then I'll probably have 2 to 3 videos after this to show you how the machine or this unit actually works and whether it does as well as we hope it does. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, I've got everything out of the clamshell, and there's a few pieces here. First we have an instruction booklet. This is a 12-page instruction booklet, and it gives you a table of contents. So if you want to make a bow, it says that's on page 10. If we go to page 10, it says bow maker, and it shows you some pictures and gives you some written instructions to go along with it. This booklet is handy, so you want to keep this around if you're going to have this tool in your craft room. So taking a look at this, it's a pretty hefty piece. There's some weight to this, and it's fairly large. Measurements are about 11 inches wide by 15 inches tall, so it's pretty big. And what we notice right off the bat is you have this clear piece of plastic on it, and this is a stamp press, believe it or not. Pretty clever little design, I think. It's got magnets at the top, which correspond to the magnets here at the top of the board. It really sucks those magnets down to hold this, and then this sits on top. It has little legs here which are spring-loaded, and so the way that this works is you would put your paper down. So you put your paper down here, and there are some magnets too. Let me pull those. There's 2 magnets that store in the back, which is quite clever and convenient. So if I were going to, stamp some small sentiment on here, I'd probably put it like so. Let's say that my sentiment is here somewhere. I go ahead, put it on there after I've inked it, and press it down, and it's going to go all the way down to the paper. So pretty clever. Again, the only thing I wonder about is there's no smooth surface. You've got the scoreboard surface here, so if you have thin enough paper, my concern would be that it might not get an even impression, because obviously the pressure between the surface of the scoreboard and the divots of the board are going to be different. Now yes, they're very close together, so maybe it doesn't make any difference. The booklet mentions this and just says that in most cases it will not matter that you don't have a smooth surface, but it says if it does matter, then you should put down a piece of cardstock and then your materials over the top of that. So it does address it, but to me that's the obvious thing that could be a flaw with this stamp press idea. We'll find out when I try it out. I notice that's, I thought for a second maybe this was peeling off, but it isn't. It looks like that's the way it's supposed to be. Just caught my eye there for a second, but it looks fine. So let me put these magnets back. One of the downfalls I can see with a stamp press is that it doesn't stay on. Whoop, got to turn it over. For traveling, you want something to stay together and work, without having to lose pieces flying all over in your bag and whatnot. For the most part, everything stays in place with this system except for the stamp press. You can see if I flip it over, it doesn't take too long and that falls off. So that's kind of a negative, I would say, about this stamp press, but it's not too big of a deal. You would just need to store this somewhere else in your bag. Or it also occurred to me if I had a large, like a headband, an elastic style headband, you could put that over the top and it would keep it in place while you're traveling. So as usual, if there's a will, there's a way. Maybe that's one way to get around it. Now in my craft room, because I use stamps so regularly and so often, I kind of doubt if I would use this piece very much because I have a MISTI and it's hard to beat the MISTI. And for as much as I stamp, the MISTI is well worth the investment I've put into it. And I would always go to that over something like this, I think. But I'm going to give it a shot and show how it works when we get to that in future videos, and we'll see, what I think of it. So let's take this off and take a look at the rest of it. We have a trimmer here, and this just fits on the slides up and down like a lot of slide style trimmers. One thing I do like about this trimmer is that the blade itself is pretty secure in its channel. Some of these slide trimmers, they really wiggle from side to side when you're pushing them up and down, and it's hard to get a nice straight cut. And for that reason, a lot of these style cutters I don't like. But this one, I have to say, seems to work pretty well in that regard, in that it's solid and doesn't move around. The blade is removable. I can't remember exactly which way, but I think you just slide it off or something at the top or bottom. Something like that. We'll cover that when we get there too in future videos. But you can replace it, so once this is dull, you're not stuck with a useless trimmer. You can just replace the blade, which is awesome, of course. Next thing I'll look at is this peg system. There are 4 pegs. They store nicely together like this, and they insert into these holes. And this is how you would make bows, tassels, and pom-poms. And I do appreciate that they have 4 pegs, because sometimes you want to make a double bow, and having the 4 pegs makes that possible. Now I have a very similar system from Crafter's Companion that's quite old that I use when I want to make, seriously nice bows, and not just hand tie them, and just depends on what my need is. But this kind of peg system does work pretty well, and it's fairly easy, so I'll be able to show you that if you're not familiar. The pegs insert with this kind of compression fit smaller peg. It's still larger though than the hole, because it's compression fit again. So the idea is it squishes down a little bit, and then that's how it stays tight. But the only thing that worries me about this is if you bang this real hard by accident, would this break off? And if it did, these become worthless because this end of the peg does not fit in the hole. So if you broke one off, will you be able to get replacement pegs? Not sure. I guess you could also maybe try to use wooden pegs or something like that. Again, sometimes where there's a will, there's a way, but hopefully they won't break that easily, and also if they do, you'll be able to get replacement pegs. I guess time will tell on that as you use it and as this system either becomes a mainstay for We Are Memory Keepers or just a fad. Alright, let's take a look next at these 3 punches. Now these offer different things. So this is the notch cutter for an envelope. Let's see how that makes the notch that you can use then to fold your 4 sides of the envelope in, just like you have for your traditional We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. Then over here opposite that is the corner rounder. Then we have a hole punch. It's kind of nice to have that. And then this is the tab maker, and I don't have a tab maker, so I found this was kind of interesting. Let's see, I guess you would have to turn it over, and then you would trim these 2 pieces out. Maybe I can do that. Maybe. Obviously I'm not following any instructions. I don't know if I'm going to do this right. But let's see. So right off the bat, I cut it too deeply. Gotta get used to where that cut line is, I guess. But anyway, you can see the gist of that. You could make a tab. That's pretty slick, actually. I like that feature. So regarding these punches, the buttons here are pretty small. This one's a little sticky even. These do not, and that one's a little sticky. This one, the hole punch is fine. I don't know if these will hold up, so it'll be interesting to find out as I use this more if they do hold up, if they stay sharp, that kind of thing. There are guides here too. It's going to be tough to see this in the video. It's hard to see it actually in person. But like the punch, for example, the hole punch, there's some guides here on the side to help center paper. And that's going to be important, of course, if you're doing a tag, which this tool is supposed to allow you to do. So it's nice that they thought of that. And then for the tab maker, there is a small middle and, I guess, yeah, small, middle, and left. So I imagine a small, medium, and large tab, I guess. I would think it would be left, middle, and right, but that's just the way I think. Anyway, so there's that. Now one thing that's nice about everything here is that it's tight. If you flip it over, I guess this did finally flip open, but overall it stays shut pretty well, which is nice again if you're going to travel, that the stuff doesn't fly all over the place, that your pegs don't fall out, and so on. Now down here is a scoring tool. Why do you have a scoring tool? Well, of course, because we have a scoreboard here. And if you look, we've got score marks going up to 6 1/8 inch. And you may say to yourself, well, that's great. If I only have something that I need to score that's no bigger than 6 inches wide, and that's true. So it will be a little tricky if you need to do a score, say, at 3, 6, and 9 inches on a large piece of paper, because your scoreboard only goes to 6 inches. Now let me show you. This cutting surface, if you flip it over, has a ledge or a lip here. You put that back in place. And let's open this up again. And take a look at, say, a 12-inch piece of paper. In order to know where you're scoring, you need that ledge to put your piece of paper up against, so that if you're going to do 3 inches, you know that that is in fact the 3-inch mark on that 12-inch piece of paper. And then let's say you do the 6-inch mark. We'll go ahead and do that. However, if I need a 9-inch mark now, I'm going to have to move that 6-inch score line to the 3-inch score line, and it's going to rest over the top of this ledge, and I'm going to have to use that 6-inch knowing that that's now a 9-inch because you've moved it down. So there is a way to get around the fact that it only has 6 1/8 inches for a scoreboard. You're just going to have to you know, use your brain to do some math and move things around, and it'll work. Not the most, you know, the greatest as far as convenience goes, but you can obviously work with it. The good news here, if you're a card maker and you're going to be typically making A2 size cards, 4 1/4 inch is here to score, as well as 5 inches for a 5x7 inch card or a 3x5. You know, this will give you enough to do typical scores for that kind of project. So at least we've got that going for it. Okay, let's put this back. Let's take a look at the envelopes and tags and banners. Okay, so this is the tool you need in order to get the angles and the things that you need to make envelopes and banners, as well as tags and tabs. So this is kind of neat because you'll see at the top there's these teeth and it says envelope, for example, with an arrow. And at the top we see envelope with an arrow. And based on the instructions, what you would do is match those arrows up. And this has magnets in it again, so it's going to sit pretty secure. And then let's say, again, if you're making an envelope and I want to make a 3x3 envelope, well, an envelope to fit a 3x3 card, I need a 5x5 inch piece of paper, and I'm supposed to use the 2 1/2 inch alignment measurement. So I don't know what size this is, obviously not 5x5, but as an example, if I were to put it at 2 1/2 inches, I'd move this over here to 2 1/2 inches, and then this would be where my first score line goes for that envelope. And then I would turn it over, and somewhere along here my score line is going to be, and I believe you match that up to this line, score guide. You don't care about this part anymore as far as the inches, but just the score line mark, and then score the second line. Turn it clockwise and do the same again, and so on until you have all 4 sides scored. Then you would use the notch to make those 4 notches for folding, and then of course the corner rounder for your top of the envelope flap. So kind of cool. Now if you were going to make a banner, well, first of all, envelopes, it makes 3x3 up to 7x7, it appears. Okay, so banner chart, we can make 3 inches to 7 1/2 inch size banners, and you do need to set this a little bit at an angle. So banner goes like so, and if I were to make a 3-inch banner, I need a 3x3 inch square, and I'm going to measure 1 1/8, I believe it says. It's a little bit tiny, but I think that's what it says. And you can see there's kind of this angle here. I believe this is where you would set your paper. Something, this would have to go flat again, or flush. And then I assume it's something like that. I don't know. Like I say, you need to read the instructions, and then I'll be able to show you how to do it. But I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I've never tried to make a banner with anything like this. But I'd like the idea of having the banner maker to make sure that you get nice, perfect triangles without working too hard. It's a nice concept. Tags would sit right here. That arrow sits, and again you would use the angles here to make that angle top of a typical tag. Now the nice thing is you have instructions on the back, so it will walk you through it. You don't need that booklet to reference how to make envelopes, banners, tags, or tabs. So that's kind of nice, because that's something you'd probably be using this a lot for. And it's kind of nice to, again, have all those instructions right here for you to use. And then most cool is, if you're not going to be using it, you just slip it through. Oops, I guess I gotta turn it the right way. It goes this way. But you know what, when I think about it, that's a nice feature that it goes in this way, because before you even start making your envelope, you can check what size you need and pull out your paper, and then pull this out and cut it and all that. So I like that it shows the charts on that side when you just flip it. Now you could use these magnets too when you're making your tabs or your banners or tags to hold your paper in place as well. I'll come back, probably I'll do 2 videos and do 5 of the things that it creates for you, so you can see how that all works, and we'll give you my opinion, and you can see for yourself if you think you would like this tool. If you're like me at all, you love tools. I'm kind of addicted to tools, so I really was interested in seeing if this one was going to be one of those losers, a gimmick, whatever, or if it was really going to be something useful. So far, it's looking promising that this could actually be useful and not totally a gimmick. Well, that'll do it for me today. Thanks for joining me to see what all this The Works all-in-one tool is about. I'll be back, as I mentioned, with a couple more videos on this. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be sure to get the notice when I do. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. But until then, keep crafting. Bye.